All right, we are being joined in the press conference room now with our 2025 40 Racewear PRI Hoosier 500 pole sitter, Robert Malechka. Robert today, a late run, pushed him into position to take the 40 Racewear Pole Award. Rob, just pulling your numbers here, a 39.385 4-lap average time. That's a 4-lap average speed, 228.5134 miles per hour. Obviously, you were sitting in a pretty good spot leading into that final attempt that you took, provisional pole at the time, but obviously you thought there was more in it. What kind of went into the decision, particularly how things played out in the time between your first run and what was ultimately your second run, and how you guys landed on the decision to come back out and kind of move that bar a little bit further down the line?
Yeah, I mean, it really starts with just not being completely happy with that first run. We made a procedure change with about 20 minutes before my run, and I just didn't have time to kind of hone in on what exactly I needed to do there. And just with how the run started, just wasn't really happy with my driving at all. I just holding myself to really high standards, and knowing that I could at least get another hundredth out of it, maybe a hundredth and a half, which I actually ended up getting. But yeah, just that's really it. I mean, um, just seeing everyone kind of improve and hearing my teammates' feedback and all that, knowing that they could improve as well, and just all of us kind of working together and uh, finding the little things with the in-card tools to really improve our laps. And it was honestly a total team effort. Went through six on the leaderboard, and just a great showing overall for us.
Obviously, there's been a lot of dialogue that the car is going to change next week whenever the hybrid technology is introduced, and thankfully that's not falling during qualifications. We at least get past this weekend. But with all the talk around the car changing, obviously you've been around for a little while, and the car's changed a lot, even just in the last 2 years. Back in the day, the second lap used to be the fastest lap. That was the money lap. And now it's quite a gradual fall off over the 4 laps in a qualifying run at Indianapolis. What's for you as this car continues to evolve? What's changed? Because I've found my own personal struggles with the car. It used to be turn 2. Now I feel like turn 1 has popped up and been something new that I've struggled with. What's been the challenge most recently, trying to get the most out of the car around Indianapolis in particular, on those 4 laps?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think a question that we're all trying to answer still, right? Now, at least for me, it's really just kind of understanding the tire, and I think that's what's kind of changed the most over the last 3 4 years is the tire that Iverson provides us, and understanding especially how the heat builds in the tire, and how much slip you can get away with it, is really the biggest thing for me, and I think the challenge of the setup, right? Because that's what is connected to the track, and uh, yeah, just especially this year, we've really kind of struggled, and I really had to improve, how we look at the data with how the tire takes in heats, and that's been a huge focus for us, and I think that's where a lot of our gains have been with this update. But we know it's with the hybrid update coming in 3 days now that everything's going to change, right? It's probably the biggest update that this car has seen in half a decade since probably the Halo's implemented, and I know we're all looking forward to it. It's always fun to really learn something new with how kind of stagnant this car was for probably the last 2.5 years. And just it's finally up to par with what they do in real life. So yeah, we're all really looking forward to learning, and hopefully come Sunday we have a good race car. We put in the hours behind the scenes, and end up with the sweep of the podium.
You're talking about sweeping the podium. There's obviously a comfort level there, knowing that presumably there's not going to be 30 times that go faster tomorrow. So it's pretty certain that the front row is locked out. How do you guys handle that three wide start going into turn one, what's the anticipated dialogue perhaps there on how to make sure everybody comes through the other side safely, and also on the flip side, it has to be a lot easier to have those conversations with teammates. It makes you feel better than maybe people on other teams surrounding you going into turn one on Sunday the next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, this is 100% our biggest race as a community. And teammates aside, we all want to win it. We all want to be selfish and win the race for the team, right? But like you said, we have to look after each other, take care of each other. It's cool for one of us to win, but in my opinion, it's way more impactful that for us to sweep the top three, sweep the top five, and you know really that I think that's a goal of the entire team. Um, and I think we all have the right mindset going into the race where we can uh, you know get it figured out the first 2-3 laps, get it single file, work our fuel strategy, and see how it goes from there.
All right, last question. We'll let you go for tonight. Um, as we look ahead towards the race, I think a lot of people knew that this hybrid technology was coming, obviously. So how much actual race work have you guys done to this point in time? And what does the next week of preparation look like, knowing that we only have the practice on Monday and 1 hour practice on Saturday from an official perspective, obviously anticipating you guys would do more practice outside of that. But how do you prepare and kind of take on this curveball that's coming on Tuesday?
Yeah, really, we haven't done much at all. I think maybe if you tally up the 8 of us in the race, we probably put in a combined 3 hours. Um, and that's just kind of down to we don't really know what the hybrid's going to do. We want to make sure we're on top of our driving and knowing what the car is going to do in traffic and clean air and light fuel and things like that before the update. But no one knows what this update's going to do. Is it going to make it harder to pass, easier to pass? How's it going to affect draft, things like that? Top speed, tire deg, you know, really anything with the car. So it's going to be it's going to be a struggle, but I think we're all looking forward to it.
All right, everybody. That's Robert Malechka, your 40 Racewear Pole Award winner for the 2025 PRI Hoosier 500. Again, a 4-lap average speed, 228.5134 miles per hour today. Congrats again, Rob. Awesome stuff. Obviously, right on the path to being in contention on Sunday and doing one better perhaps than you did last year at the Hoosier 500.
Thanks, Tanner. Take care.